episode of Beyond the Black Rims. I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
This is Season 9, Episode 21.
Or Episode 211 if you're counting.
It's very rare that we do this on a Sunday.
Actually, I think this is the first time we've done it on a Sunday.
Might be. Oh, did you see that bit go flying?
Yeah, it just... It's off. It is out there.
Yeah, we never do this on a Sunday, but we kind of figured this would be a lead-in to WrestleMania.
Yes!
So thank you for being here on WrestleMania Sunday. And it's not very often that I talk about wrestling in any capacity.
But you have finally started to get into wrestling.
Well, I don't know if get into is necessarily the right word, but I'm interested in the entertainment value that is there in wrestling. You can see through everything, but I think it's really interesting to see how it's all stage fighting. Not
Yes.
all of it, mind you. Like, there's actual physicality, obviously, that
Yes,
goes
of
into
course.
wrestling. It should definitely be appreciated how much work that wrestlers put in, just how much they use their bodies, of course.
Yes.
And yes, my hair is brown again. It's my natural color again. So,
It's nice.
Thank you. You remember we were talking about Josh's hair last week. This week it's
Nothing
my
happened to
hair.
my hair.
We had this discussion already. Something happened to your
In the
hair.
post-show.
No, we had this discussion. Like you could see the chat log. People were like, "Josh, your hair. What's going on?" But yeah, my hair is back to its natural color again. So thank you for noticing. I appreciate it. What else is going on, Josh?
Well, for sure, WrestleMania. Very much been looking forward to that. You actually told me something the other day that I was very happy. It's the thing a lot of people want to hear from their significant other. Hey, you've had a hard week. Why don't I order us a pizza and we can watch NXT TakeOver together? And that warmed my heart. So we did that on Friday.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah, I've been really busy with other stuff. I know some people have been asking me on Twitter, how come you haven't been doing any videos lately? I've been really... thankfully busy trying to keep up with new things. I want to get back to it, but circumstances prevailing right now that certain things have to be done in a certain order. Aside from that, we got to see Pet Sematary this week.
We did, yeah. We saw it
The reboot.
a day early.
Yeah, you know, like
For
a day
free.
before the pre-day.
And those ladies that were seating us too are like, "You don't like where we're seating you? It's a free movie." Oh,
Okay, so
okay.
normally we don't talk trash here on this show. We don't. That was the most ghetto screening that I've been to in about 10 years.
It was pretty bad.
It was really ghetto.
Guys yelling out in their seats, "Turn off your phones!" Like, oh my god. Somebody's gonna start a fight in here?
Yeah, people being really picky about where they got to sit. And it's like, yeah, it's a free movie. Just sit down. They gave you popcorn and swag. Just enjoy the movie.
They didn't give us popcorn. I bought that popcorn.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You gave me popcorn because you bought it.
Yeah.
That was a lot of popcorn.
It was. I didn't end up finishing it.
That was a waste of money.
Maybe a little bit, but I'm satisfied.
Yes.
Yeah. Pet Sematary was okay.
It was okay.
That's the best I can say about it.
The cat puppetry was questionable at best.
And I know, like, a lot of people are like, "But I thought puppetry is always better than 3D CG animation." And, like, in a lot of cases that's true, but you gotta execute it right, I feel like.
Don't make it obvious that we're looking at a puppet, basically.
Well, especially when all the rest of its surroundings are, like, you've got some bad green screen and really dark shadows and other CG things happening.
Yeah.
The mixture needs to be right. I didn't feel like the mixture was right, you know? But, it was Pet Sematary. It was what it's always been,
Yes.
I feel like. I kind of want to point out here, of course, as always, my Baja Blast, right? And I have a drinking problem, so I got it everywhere, of course, because that's me.
Because that's what you do.
That's what I do. But today we found Mountain Dew Baja Blast
Lip Balm.
And I just want to point out, hey, like, this is really on brand for me, so I got it. It was $1. It's just lip balm.
Yeah, it doesn't taste like...
It doesn't taste like Baja Blast,
at
like,
all.
hardly in the slightest. So, whatever. It's not a bad thing to have lip balm. I didn't have any other lip balm lying around anyway.
Yeah, so, yeah, good for you.
Oh boy, my lips aren't gonna get chapped now. Is there anything else that we've got going on that really needs to be addressed before we get into
Not that we can talk about.
Yeah.
depending on how you want to talk about this, today is actually the 40th anniversary of Mobile Suit Gundam. Today, the first episode aired.
That's true.
Of Mobile Suit Gundam.
Absolutely true.
And this is a Gundam-loving show here.
It is a Gundam-loving show, and yeah, I guess it's cool for me to say.
So is it okay to say this?
I think
today?
I think it's okay to say it because it's today. And I've told you guys in the post show before already.
Yeah.
But I started doing freelance closed captioning a while back, and the very first show that they gave me to work on was Gundam Build Divers. So, and the dub, mind you. These are closed captions, not subtitles. So it's for the hard of hearing. And so, I'm not sure when those closed captions are going to go up. They did just recently put the dub up on YouTube, but it didn't look like the captions were on it just yet. So I'm going to assume that once it hits, I don't know, Hulu, or if it's ever going to go on TV, those closed captions are mine, and that's really freaking cool.
That's awesome.
That's the first anime I got to work on, so I'm really super excited about that.
Real proud of you.
Yay! Happy 40th anniversary, Gundam.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because Gundam's been very important. I know that was one of the real gateway anime that got me in from thinking, oh, this is just weird looking cartoons, and it's like, no, this is anime. Like Gundam Wing, like me and so many people of that generation opened the door to all of those things that anime can provide, but Gundam specifically, having young pilots and robots, that's it. That's what did it for me.
Yeah.
Like, we've got a pile of Gunpla in the corner here that you guys can't see, that we got to get on building, and we were thankful enough to get you a couple from your series.
Yeah, now I feel some attachment to Gundam Build Divers, and like, it's not, I'm gonna say it's not the greatest Gundam series ever, but it is very entertaining, especially for people who've seen previous Gundam, because in this anime, the other anime exist as anime, so they'll make a ton of references to different Mobile Suit Gundam series, so it's fun, and I got really attached, and I bought a whole bunch of Gundam Build Divers Gunpla, and I can't wait to put them together soon, so yeah. We'll be watching WrestleMania later. For right now, like, we're gonna do the show, we're gonna do our post-show Q&A, and then as soon as it cuts off,
It should time out right with the start of the main card.
It should, yeah. So, that having been said, why don't we go ahead and talk about what our main stories are gonna be a little bit later on in the episode today.
So first up tonight, we're coming to you guys with new information about the upcoming Akira live-action project. It's looking more and more like it's going to be a thing.
It might actually exist.
In our area. So we're going to be talking to you guys about where that's going to be filming, what's being done to make sure that it does get put on the screen, and who's still involved as of right now.
Yes. Second up, that Joker teaser finally came out.
Yeah, we got to see that.
Joaquin Phoenix, and it's kind of creepy looking. We get to talk about exactly what it looks like went into that trailer.
How jokery is it?
How jokery is it? Where else could it possibly fit within DC stories? Where does Batman come in? Maybe a lot of speculation here, but we'll talk about it. It looks like an interesting enough film.
And then the last bit of information we got for you guys is the newest casting out of Netflix's Cowboy Bebop live-action series. We've got 4 of the main cast members picked out. We're going to talk to you guys about the casting choices, how we feel about it, and where we think the show is going to go based off those choices.
Yes, before we get to those main stories, Josh, I know you've always got follow-ups for us. Please, by all means, tell me about these follow-ups.
I have one job on this show, and it's the follow-ups.
You got a lot of jobs on this show.
A couple of jobs. Okay, so first off, we'll, as we usually do, start with our DC news. So we'll go ahead and lead off here. We're getting the Gotham news out of the way because we're almost done with it. Fox has gone ahead and given us our clearest picture of Cameron Monaghan in his new Joker form there that we're going to see in the last episode. You can see him there, very kind of Dark Knight colors there in the background. Again, you see the little stringy strands of green from a promo that they released here leading up to this last episode. Apparently he is in a sort of vegetative state, comes out of it as the Joker we're supposed to know, and at the very end of the trailer we see that his hand has been sliced through with what appears to be a batarang.
Yikes.
But that's supposed to happen because that's the Joker, and you're supposed to get dunked on by Batman. That's just what you do. As far as the look of it, yeah, he's more scarred. I was actually okay with the more normal-looking Joker that the proto-Joker that they've had him be as Jeremiah. But I get, having the prosthesis to give him, a bigger nose and a bigger chin. That's kind of more traditional. He's got traditional colors now. But
he's still kind of freaky looking.
A little bit. A lot of
yeah,
Joker news tonight.
Yeah, a lot of Joker news tonight. I don't know how I feel about him. I get, and I'm gonna probably just repeat myself a little bit later. I get that every time we do the Joker now, we feel like it's really necessary to, like, totally reinvent him.
Right.
I feel like we don't have to do that anymore.
Like, let's keep to an idea.
Maybe at a certain point, like, okay, let's go back to, like, who Joker once was. Thank you very much, Anthony Padillo.
Padillo.
Well, it's not two L's, so it's not the
It
Spanish.
was two L's.
No, that was an I and one L. I mean, we can go ahead and double check.
All right, you can double check.
can
While you're
double-
doing that, I'll move on to the next bit. Okay, so we've got some information now coming out of this upcoming Suicide Squad reboot, as they're calling it.
One L. There's one L.
So 2 bits of information there. One, Viola Davis is coming back to reprise the role of Amanda Waller there, so that's one holdover. The other interesting thing is Idris Elba's casting. So to lead off with, we reported to you guys correctly before that he was going to be replacing Will Smith as Deadshot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently Warner Brothers has changed their mind on that. He's still attached. Will Smith's not going to be in the movie. It's Idris Elba, but he's not playing Deadshot anymore. He's
I don't
going to
know
be playing.
if they changed their minds, or did we just get the information
No,
wrong?
everybody was reporting it the same, that he was being replaced by Idris Elba as Deadshot.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently they're leaving the door open for Will to come back if he so chooses to reprise the role of Deadshot. The strong feeling that everybody's getting right now is that more than likely Idris Elba will be playing Bronze Tiger, who's a character we've seen in the animated versions or over there on Arrow,
Right.
Played by Michael Jai White, which honestly he would be a great Bronze Tiger.
You think so?
Yeah, because, it lets him be scrappy. He can still be a leader. Bronze Tiger has more of a righteous streak to him. I could definitely see him playing that role.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I'd like to see it.
Yeah, we'll take a look into that. So let's go ahead and move over to our Marvel news, of which we've got a bit. First thing I want to get out of the way, Captain Marvel has joined the $1 billion club.
Yay! Glad that did so well.
Yes, it has joined all of the other Marvel movies' first female-led movie to hit $1 billion.
With Marvel, yeah.
Yes. Moving on from that, Disney has confirmed that New Mutants will, in fact, get a theatrical release.
That's cool. That's good to know.
I don't know. At this point...
Do you think it's really going to have enough pull, though?
At this point, because it's been delayed so much and mired in so much controversy, I don't know that that's the smartest move, but if Disney puts enough push behind it, maybe they can make it successful.
Maybe. We'll see.
We'll have to see. Over on the Black Widow solo movie, we're getting word that actor David Harbour of Hellboy, which comes out later this Friday, and Rachel Weisz will be joining the cast.
Oh, interesting.
No word on who they're playing just yet. People are just supposing they could be additional S.H.I.E.L.D. agents or villains. They haven't said just yet. I would love to see David Harbour as another villain. He's really good at villains.
Yes.
Again, everybody knows him as Hop, and now everybody knows him, or will know him as Hellboy. But I think he'd be a great, strong addition to the cast there.
Sure.
And then over with Endgame, of course, so now we see Endgame merchandise out on shelves at your local Walmart, Target.
Which, by the way, those tickets went on sale this week.
The tickets went on sale. That was rough.
That was a nightmare. I'm so upset because I was all queued up a couple of times in 2 different websites.
You almost had IMAX tickets for us.
I almost had 3D IMAX tickets, back row center, and it checked me all the way out and said, oh, it's just taking a long time to process. You'll get an email. That didn't happen. Then they emailed me like 12 hours later and said, sorry, that theater's full now. Pick another theater. Thanks. I had it. I was there.
We got 2D tickets. We got them.
Yeah.
We just didn't get the tickets we want. And I imagine this will definitely pull in people wanting to see this more than once.
Sure, absolutely.
But that having been said, Endgame merchandise is out. We've got just maybe 3 weeks to go now. It's getting down to the wire. But we also have a picture of something cute and dangerous, and I'll explain why. So right here we have a picture of Thanos that you can put together yourself at the Build-A-Bear workshop.
Build-A-Bear Thanos, aww.
And he's dangerous. The reason being, this Thanos bear has 5 phrases from the movie, and apparently at least 2 of them are spoilers.
Ooh, let's not bring those up.
That's really stupid that kids going to Build-A-Bear could potentially have the movie spoiled for them by squeezing this bear and finding out something about the movie. So we're not going to tell you guys what the bear says.
He's also holding a weapon, that's also dangerous. A dangerous teddy bear.
Yeah, dangerous teddy bear. We've seen Thanos holding that weapon before.
Yeah.
Up to this point in promo art, and we kind of see him holding it there in this most recent little bit of information that we got, the little mini footage that we got when the tickets went on sale. But be careful, if you're going by a Build-A-Bear workshop...
Don't squeeze him.
Don't squeeze Thanos.
Don't squeeze Thanos.
Because either one, you will be spoiled, or two, you will undo all of Ant-Man's hard work and push him out of Thanos' butt. So don't do that. Hashtag don't squeeze Thanos. All right, moving
Save the universe.
All right, moving on to some other news here. So we got some interesting news here from Ghostbusters. So apparently the two movies are being put together in 4K Blu-ray in a steelbook, and along with that release will be deleted scenes never before seen of the original movie.
Interesting, including the whole "No, Lewis, no." Of course, I mean, we've seen that as a deleted scene before, so I'm wondering they have more deleted scenes that weren't on, like, old DVD releases then?
No, stuff that they have come up and found. Looking through archives, they're going to be including these with this newest release of the Ghostbuster movies.
That's interesting.
And it's amazing to see that by this point we haven't seen them already.
It's shocking that there's still stuff to be found at this point.
And it makes sense considering that we're going into this new Ghostbusters, you know...
Now's the right time,
now's
of
the
course,
time
to
to do
release
it.
that.
Okay, moving on to some other news here. Over with Godzilla, we've got a new TV spot out showcasing more of the fighting there between Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan.
They keep doing that. They keep giving us more through TV
It
teasers.
pisses me off so much.
Why?
No, because they keep releasing these little spots with new footage, and they
then
keep
we'll
saying...
just put them together in one YouTube
No,
video.
that's what they say. That's what they keep saying. Watch the full trailer. But it's the trailer we saw 3 months ago. It's like, don't show me that. You just showed me new footage. Just cut a new trailer. You've got more than enough here to show us a new trailer. And some people are pointing out that by this point, with all the new little 30-second spots they keep putting out for the movie, we officially have more monster footage than we had in the entirety of the 2014 movie.
Well, you know what? Good. If it's a better monster movie, then good. I'm looking forward to it.
Now, to that end, I understand the complaint there. We don't want the brawls ruined. We just
No.
see, like, little lead-ups and, you know, the grapples between Ghidorah and Godzilla. I mean, granted, they're being smart. They haven't seen any kill shots being shown.
Sure, of course, they would not.
But I'm starting to get a little worried. Like, we've still got, a month and a half, 2 months to go. Don't show us any more than this, all right? Like, we're good. You've got my money. If I couldn't get into Endgame IMAX, I will see this in IMAX. You've got it. Just don't ruin the rest of the movie for me.
Right, exactly.
So just be careful on that. Just my thing to them. All right,
Because they're listening.
All right, so moving on to some other interesting movie news here. So, you know, we watched the Lego movie.
Yes.
We watched
The second one.
The second one. Do you feel like watching a Playmobil movie? Because that's coming.
No, I've got no desire to watch a Playmobil.
Yeah, Lionsgate has optioned the rights to a Playmobil movie.
Boba Fett-ish. I get the pun. Thank you very much for the follow. Appreciate it.
Why do we need that? Like
the Playmobil movie. I don't know.
okay, honest to goodness, I remember
only toddlers play with Playmobil.
Because who do you know that ever had Playmobil growing up?
I did not.
I didn't know any kid who had Playmobil. Like, you looked at it walking through the toy store and being like, oh, those are cool, and then you went for the Legos. Like, there's clearly a winner between the two.
Sure.
And it was Legos. Like, adults and kids play with Legos.
My mom did give me a set of Duplo, one of those buckets of Duplo, and then eventually we graduated to Lego, right? And
right.
Duplo, they did get that brief throw-in in the Lego movie,
in this
right?
last one,
because they're also made by Lego. So, yeah, if anybody's gonna make a movie out of any toddler-based, like, play with stuff, things, it's Duplo. It's not gonna be Playmobil, really?
Yeah, they've already got some casting here. We've got Daniel Radcliffe in there, comedian Jim Gaffigan, singer Megan Trainor. Like, they've already got voices attached to this thing, so it's coming.
Oh, that's a threat, Josh. It's coming.
It's coming, and it will. So be on the lookout for that. Okay, moving on to some little bit of gaming news here, specifically related toward Detective Pikachu. So we got 2 bits of information to give you here. One, of course, that I'm very happy to hear about is actor Ryoma Takeuchi, who a lot of Tokusatsu fans know as the lead character there in Kamen Rider Drive 1. We've reported before that he's going to be the Japanese voice for Tim in the movie, but on top of that, he's actually going to have a cameo in the movie as a Pokemon trainer.
Oh, like in the actual, our
Yeah, we have a
version
picture of
movie.
him right here with the director.
That's super cool.
That's so cool. This is his first time in a Hollywood movie. Just great to see him come up. He's a great young actor.
He's gonna be as big as Takeru Sato as far as his acting career is concerned.
Yeah, because if he's starting to cross over between those movies, now him and his son there, Maken Ryu, who was in Pacific Rim Uprising, now both of those writers from Drive, that family is doing quite well. The other thing we have to show you is a Chinese poster here of Detective Pikachu, showing more of the other Pokemon.
I'll go ahead and make this a little bigger.
Yeah, some of the other Pokemon there in the movie. Of course, you see Snorlax, Psyduck, Charizard looking boss. They didn't put in Mewtwo here, which I think would be a big selling point.
Yeah, because these are really extreme looking images of each of these Pokemon. I do think Mewtwo would have been a fantastic addition to this poster, but either way, a lot of times Chinese posters end up looking pretty legit.
Like last week we showed that Endgame poster that was way cooler than the one we got over here. You just change the wording on that, sell it over here. People want more of I'm that kind of guy.
Yeah.
I want more characters on my posters. And here, they're smart. It's a lot of Gen 1 Pokemon here, so people will recognize those.
Yeah, for sure.
So, very much looking forward to Detective Pikachu over on that end. Let's go ahead and talk about some Overwatch news here. So, just earlier today, we got this photo from the official Overwatch account teasing this new event. They're talking about a news event happening in Havana. Havana happens to be the home of the newest character, Baptiste. We don't know if this is a lore event just yet, but we're thinking that this is either for a map or the event is going to take place somewhere in Havana. But we should have more information on that in the coming week. It's been a minute since we've had an event for Overwatch. They've been surprisingly quiet.
I feel like they've been really super focused on Overwatch League. That's where all their focus has been, because they've been trying to make it bigger, add a bigger roster, add more teams, play in different locations. I feel like that's been a huge part of Blizzard's focus.
I would hope.
Not to mention, they fired a bunch of people.
They did.
So they haven't had as many people able to work on things such as events.
Because the thing about it is, like we said before, they're having to contend with the likes of Fortnite, with the likes of Apex Legends, which have taken a lot of people away. And when you're not putting out new content, you're going to have to come up with something to bring people back. So hopefully they've got something here in this new event. Moving on to some other news here over in our Tokusatsu section. So before we get into that, this is actually something bigger, overarching, touching everything there in Japan.
Okay.
Just earlier this week, they've announced the name of the new era.
Yes.
Which will take, which will start in 2 weeks.
I believe it's
in 2 weeks.
It's not 2 months. No, I think it's 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Reiwa?
Reiwa or Reiwa.
I know the second character is like the wa in Heiwa, so peace. I forget what they said.
I believe that they said the translation they want to have used is perfect harmony.
Yeah, that makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. And it's they say it's really interesting because usually they choose two kanji that come from Chinese poetry, and this is the first time they have chosen Japanese poetry instead to borrow this from, which of course in Japan, to them that's a really big deal. People are flipping out about it because it's just traditionally not a thing that's done. However, that having been said, it's also not traditionally a thing to have the emperor step down and then have his son come in and be the next emperor. Usually that emperor is emperor until death.
Yes.
And then the son will become the next emperor. But this emperor, the reason why this is all happening, again, is because he's feeling look, I'm getting kind of old, I'm gonna die at some point, but my death would really shake up the country if we have to, start a whole new set of calendars, and change the name of the era. But if people know it's coming, it's not gonna wreck stuff.
Yeah, so it's been very pragmatic.
I think that's the best decision they could have made.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to the start of the Reiwa era. Now we don't have to have these, as far as Godzilla or Kamen Rider is concerned, these arguments of Heisei and Neo Heisei, which isn't a thing.
Heisei era's almost over.
Yeah,
Almost
this is
gone.
the end of the
Yeah.
Heisei era. But we've got two things to talk about from the end of the Heisei era. One, of course, being this next week in Kamen Rider Geo, we have a returning actor, one that I'm very happy to see. Toshiki Kashu is back as Kamen Rider Agito. We have a picture here showing him there on the set. Just very happy to see him. He hasn't been in the role officially. The last time we saw him was Decade's movie All Riders vs. Daishocker, just for a couple of seconds at the end. He never transformed, and he did provide the voice for Agito in Heisei Generations Forever, but this is the first time he will be on screen transforming since 2001.
That's a pretty long time. Yeah, he still looks like he can pull it off just fine.
Yeah, like despite the hair change, like he doesn't look like he's aged a day.
Yeah.
He must be taking whatever Paul Rudd's taking.
Paul Rudd's doing very well too.
Yeah, he just turned 50. Gee,
Yeah.
he doesn't look a day over 30. And then the last bit of news here, which is really kind of out of left field because this was announced on April Fool's Day and everybody thought it was a joke, but Toei went ahead and confirmed, no, this isn't a joke, this is a thing, was the announcement of Kamen Rider Brain. This is going to be a Kamen Rider Drive spin-off. There we have Brain's actor, who is, of course, returning for a two-part episode run starting on April 14th, and then the second episode will debut the week after. Now, there were jokes before when Kamen Rider Heart was coming out that, oh, well, when's Kamen Rider Brain gonna happen? And it was just kind of a tongue-in-cheek joke.
And then people took it and ran with it.
Well, yeah, at the
Toei
time,
did.
Toei did, but they took a really, really long time to run with it.
Well, let them build it up, and then people will be like, whoa, what?
Yeah, because the thing about it is, for what it's worth, they're knocking it out of the park with these extra episode things, with Shinobi, with the return of Ryuki. I hope they do something else with Agito.
Sure.
And with these upcoming episodes of Geo, where they're teasing more writers returning, the really well-off ones that had careers after the show was over, I can only hope they surprise us. Geo's finally starting to turn around.
You think so?
I think
Is
finally.
that gonna motivate you to finally make more videos?
It might.
It might?
It
Okay.
might. Because honestly, the direction had a hand in me stepping back.
Yeah, I understand. I
But
totally
now
get it.
I'm starting to trust Toei again, so don't screw it up. You're starting to get my trust back. But that's all we've got for our follow-ups. Let's go ahead and get started with our first story covering the updates concerning live-action Akira.
Yeah, so that's just a picture of Kaneda
With the gun.
with the blasting thingy. He's gonna shoot his friend. His friend isn't his friend anymore. His friend is his brother.
So
have we heard that before already?
No, from all of the different versions of the story that we're hearing, or we have heard over the years about the live action, which has been in limbo for like what, at least a good 10 years
At
now.
the very least, yeah. I
At
want to
least
say
as long as we've been doing this show.
I want to say I'd been hearing people talking about making Akira a thing since back when I was in high school, you know,
Right.
more than 15 years ago. That having been said, like I remember, you know, there were all these animations of like, oh no, they're starting to make jokes about an American Akira. How are they going to Americanize it? Well, a good hunk of it is we knew they were going to be putting it in New York, for example.
Instead of Neo Tokyo.
Instead of Neo Tokyo. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm getting this off of ScreenRant.com.
And multiple other sites have
Lots of
reported
other
this.
sites have reported it, but I'm specifically looking at ScreenRant.com, and I'm going to just go ahead and read off the synopsis that has now been given. I believe it was today, maybe yesterday, that they dropped it.
Just within the last couple of days.
Yeah. When a young man's telekinesis is discovered by the military, he's taken to be turned into a super weapon, and his brother must race to save him before Manhattan is destroyed by his powers. At base, that first sentence right there, the only changes there are the relationship of friend being changed to brother, and then Neo Tokyo being changed to Neo Manhattan. You can almost live with that.
In most versions of the script that I've heard, that's been the one change that everybody's accepted, is that the location's been changed from Japan to New York.
Right.
Which most people are like, okay, fine.
Like, I don't like it, but I'll put up with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to continue, Kaneda is a bar owner in Neo Manhattan.
And it's still traditional spelling, Romanji style, K-A-N-E.
Kaneda.
Kaneda,
Yes,
okay,
yes,
so it's the same.
And his name's not Canada.
Not Canada.
It's Kaneda.
Although I've seen people joke around and put a maple leaf on his jacket.
Oh, yeah, of course. Kaneda is a bar owner in Neo Manhattan who is stunned when his brother Tetsuo is abducted by government agents led by the Colonel. That's otherwise mostly accurate except for the whole owning a bar thing, which means that these characters, or at least Kaneda, has been aged up.
More than likely, yeah.
More than likely. We're not hearing anything about a biker gang. Kaneda's gotta have that bike, though.
He has to have the bike.
At the very least, he has to have the bike.
Like,
if there's not an iconic bike, that's a big mistake.
In most fans' minds and hearts, the bike is non-negotiable.
Right.
You have to have the bike.
The fact that they are keeping the names Kaneda and Tetsuo should indicate that these should be Asians. These should be Asian people playing these parts. Mind you, we had Dragon Ball Evolution and a white-ass pasty dude by the name of Goku was running around on the screen. He should not have had the name Goku. So I'm just saying, it wouldn't be the first time that a Japanese character's been whitewashed, and they still kept the name. So, to continue... Desperate to get his brother back, Kaneda agrees to join Kai Reed and her underground movement, who are intent on revealing to the world what truly happened to New York City 30 years ago when it was destroyed. So okay,
that's been changed.
It's a little different. I feel like Tokyo hadn't been totally destroyed before, right? Okay, I know it was all run down. Yeah, I knew it was all run down. So that's what the very beginning we've got
the big light.
So the change here, he does meet with a woman who's part of an underground movement. I don't understand the reason from changing her name from K to Kai. I don't see why that's even an issue.
Why did that need to be a thing?
Why did that need to be a thing? But okay, we'll continue. Kaneda believes their theories to be ludicrous, but after facing his brother again, is shocked when he displays telekinetic powers. That's all. That's fine.
Right.
Next sentence here. Kai believes Tetsuo is headed to release a young boy. Okay.
That's kind of accurate.
Akira, who has taken control of Tetsuo's mind... Kaneda clashes with the Colonel's troops on his way to stop Tetsuo from releasing Akira, but arrives too late. That's kind of true. That's kind of the same.
Mostly accurate.
Akira soon emerges from his prison, courtesy of Tetsuo, as Kaneda races to save his brother before Akira once again destroys Manhattan Island as he did 30 years ago. So, I'm curious then, when they say they've released Akira, like in the movie, like they open it up and they release Akira. It's not really a person that comes out of there, but so my question is, when they say release, do they actually mean releasing a person or not?
No, I imagine it's kind of the same lead-in that we got in the movie, where Tetsuo is under this impression that he's going to find a person, but, you know, kind of sorry for the spoilers, he doesn't. He finds what's left of him.
Yeah.
But
so people are asking, like, about the spelling of the character Kai. They're spelling it K-Y, like as in, like, the lubricant. like Kai, like
K-Y.
K-Y, yeah. So, like, you could get, like, K-A-I could have been pronounced Kai or K, but no, that's not how it's being spelled. It's K-Y.
Now, the other thing I want to report on this, which is the bigger thing, is that, one, we have Thor Ragnarok director Taika Waititi signed on as director, which is interesting considering that he's mostly involved in a lot of comedy. You know, Thor Ragnarok, of course, being more superhero-y, so that gives him some cred there. Leonardo DiCaprio is still attached as a producer, since he's been behind this through most of the iterations that Warner Brothers has been trying to push. And the biggest thing of news that we've gotten is that they're going to film it out here in California.
That's so weird. Why would you make that decision?
Because they're receiving an $18 million tax incentive to do so.
Okay, they're going to have to make California look like New York, and I just feel like you film things in New York all the time, but of course a tax incentive would do that. It just seems like it's
no duh.
It still just seems so stupid to not film New York in New York to me.
I agree. Because like a New Yorker will tell you that's not New York.
Yeah.
You know, if you've seen enough movies, you know, or TV, that's not New York.
Somebody living in Los Angeles will be like, that was filmed out here.
That's on Pico. Don't even try. That's Crenshaw. Like, you know these streets.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be interesting to see whether or not they can do that convincingly. I mean, I imagine they're going to have to build a lot of sets for, like, the compound they're holding Akira in, and some of the storefronts, so you can get away with some of it.
So quite a bit of this, I have to say, okay, great, they're keeping the base of the narrative, it's better than I thought, but the differences are still a little bit concerning.
Yes.
I want to know, how old is Kaneda then? I feel like we're not getting a lot of information about Kaneda other than he's got telekinetic powers.
And they keep saying racing to get to his brother, and by racing you mean on a bike, right? Like, don't play with me here. The bike is non-negotiable.
Yeah, bike's non-negotiable.
Now, here's the thing, like, with Tetsuo being his younger brother now, some people have commented that, yeah, they kind of have a sibling-like relationship there in the manga. You know, that's the reason he feels these familial ties for him, why he wants to go out of his way to save him. There's a couple of other things I wonder whether or not they're going to address the drug use from the manga.
A lot of drug use in there. There is a bar in there where they get drugs from.
Yes.
But yeah, is the drug use going to even be a thing? Are they going to address that Tetsuo is kind of got a drug problem?
Well, he develops a drug problem.
Yeah, because he's trying to, like, keep things at bay.
Right. Which would be really interesting to tackle, because it was the whole idea that he's using it to control the pain he feels from the emerging of this psychokinetic power.
Also, is Tetsuo going to have naturally developed these telekinetic powers, or is it going to be like in the source material where it's because
exposure.
He came in contact with one of those kid-like people that tried to run away, and it just started happening as a result of that. Who knows? I would really like
imagine
to
they've
know.
got to keep some of that. I imagine there's certain things that could be done, could not be done. You remember, we actually reported on this a couple of years ago, the live-action Akira project that was fan-made. They did, like, that 5-minute trailer. That was amazing.
It was amazing.
And it showed...
They were super happy we talked about it, too.
Oh, yeah, of course they were. And we're happy to plug them again. You know, you look up the Akira project, those guys put their heart and soul into that project.
Yeah, and it was just for a few minutes of just trying to recreate some iconic scenes. If they could just do that again, but with a Hollywood budget, I mean, that would be amazing. My concern is that there's so many little changes that it won't look the same.
Well, because the thing about it is that project showed you can do things 1-1, and people will just be impressed by the scope of it and be like, oh, wow, like, somebody's making all this weird stuff happen with their mind. Like, if you tell the right story, people aren't going to care how hokey it looks. Like, is that a teddy bear?
Yeah.
No. You're going to watch this movie and be like, wow, what led up to this, you know? And people who are turned off just by a giant weird teddy bear with milk coming out of its pores, like, you're not going to care about that. You're going to care about, you know, Kaneda, Tetsuo. You want some of that.
I kind of agree with everybody saying this movie needs to be a hard R. If
I agree.
It's not a hard R, then that's already oh man, you neutered it. You neutered it because you thought, oh, well, it's coming from this animated thing, and people aren't going to understand it being so extreme, a little grotesque in some places. All
Which
the
it
drug
needs to be,
use,
I argue.
The boobs and the physical assault, and the nearly raping of this young woman. Just ridiculously obscene stuff. But at the same time, it still manages to tell the story of, like, these people are trying to take care of each other. Somebody feels like, oh, nobody cares about me. There's a story that's there
now
in all of the violence.
I do want to talk about, because somebody already brought it up here, we did technically already have a shot at a live-action Akira movie, and that was Chronicle.
Right, exactly.
Where they
felt the same. I walked out of Chronicle thinking, well, they're never going to get Akira.
The third act was lifted straight from Akira.
Oh, absolutely.
Almost verbatim. So, like, we've already seen the bits and pieces that can be put together.
And it's in New York at the end, right?
No, they're like in Seattle.
Are they in Seattle? Okay.
Because
they're in a major
like
city.
The Space Needle.
Was it the Space Needle?
Yeah, because he's all floating around there making the cell phones look at him and record him.
No, I remember. I just didn't remember which city it was. But it's a major city that they're flying around in. And isn't he even in, like, he's in a hospital gown or something?
Yeah, he's in a hospital gown.
Yeah.
So we've seen all the bits and pieces. We know this can be done, especially now. And now with the idea that people are more sensitive to the casting of your character being very much what it should be. Like if you've got an Asian character, let it be Asian actors. I don't want to be that guy, and I'm not the first person to say this, but I'm just saying Warner Brothers, the Sudarso brothers are available.
They are. They are.
And they will work.
They will
So, you know, let's make it easy on yourselves. You know? Get some good dedicated actors. Get some people who already worked on it. You can source most of this already. Just give them the budget to run wild, and you will get your money back.
Yeah, for sure.
Because in the last 30 years, Akira's on everybody's list. Like, people who didn't like anime respect Akira. Not even just look at Akira, respect Akira.
Do you remember that time we went to MagFest and we saw that
The
guy,
exhibit?
the guy who runs the Akira exhibit, and he takes it and he tours it around that side of the country. So he brought it to MagFest, and then he just had a panel room that was dedicated to nothing but, all right, every like 3 seconds I'm gonna pause the movie and I'm gonna tell you something about the production of like this cell right here, and then he'd show a picture from his personal like, this is a guy who is so dedicated to just how obsessed he was with Akira that with his own money over the course of years he just bought every single cell or production piece of art he ever could possibly find, and that's how dedicated people are to it, and that is beyond my level of dedication, but it is something that as soon as he was telling us about like one particular cell, he's like, this cell, it doesn't actually show up in the movie, except for this tiny little piece right here.
And it's the fact that they animated a full cell.
And you know why? They animated an entire city, they drew an entire city back here on this cell, then they layered it with a building here, and a building here, and then the freeway here, and he takes all these layers off, just so that you can see an entire city, but you only see one speck of it through all the other buildings and stuff. And he was like, this was the thing that taught me that I needed to respect this movie because of how much work they did for so little that you even get to see. And that was the moment I said, dude, I get it. I totally get it. It's not my thing to that degree, but I get it. So that having been said, I hope somebody on this live action movie is working on it as hard as those people worked on that original movie.
Yes, exactly. For the people who have that kind of fan love for it, they're out there, and they've been out there now for generations, at least a good 2 generations of people who keep finding out about Akira. But what is this thing? Like, I've heard about, like, I remember seeing it, the VHS of it at, like, Blockbuster back in the day, and being like, why can't I watch this? This is rated R, but it's animated. What's going on? And it wasn't until I got to high school that I was finally able to watch, I think it was the first dub of it, and then being blown away.
Yeah, I saw the first dub originally, and I didn't have a problem with it at the time.
Yeah.
Of course, times change, you know, and I don't even think that original dub is horrible, but I suppose by comparison, and if you've just started in the anime fandom within the last few years, you're gonna be like, whoa, people put up with this, but you know what? Yes.
Yeah, people put up with it and love it.
Yeah.
Because it got people started. So we're going to keep up with this. Every last bit of development we will bring to you guys because we want to see this come to fruition the way it is meant to be.
For sure.
But yeah, that'll cover it for Akira. Let's go ahead and move on to Todd Phillips' Joker movie.
I believe I've got this muted. Yeah, I've muted this. I did it right this time. Yeah.
Good job. Okay, so here we're looking at our first footage from this Joker movie coming out in October. Of course, we see Joaquin Phoenix here as I want to say a new character, because in most iterations of the character, Joker doesn't actually have an actual last name or real name that he came from.
Sometimes you get like Joe Cool, who may or may not be the Joker.
Joe Kerr. Jack Napier from 89 Batman with Tim Burton. Here he's a character named Arthur Fleck. People picking up on the potential pun there that with his first initial and last name he's A. Fleck.
A. Fleck,
Affleck. Yeah. Okay, real funny. But we're seeing that he's a very, you want to say tortured, but kind of off individual who, because of his interactions with society, will be pushed to the point of becoming the man who we know as Batman's arch nemesis. And I'm having a hard time swallowing that story.
Well, okay, like, I do think it's a very fascinating story. I don't know if it's a Joker origin story. I think it's It sounds like the start of a great movie. I
Right.
just don't know if I would label it the Joker. Past that, too, the concerns of how many stories do we need to hear about some tortured, misunderstood white guy who's then gonna go on a big old killing spree at a certain point. That's another point of contention that I'm hearing a lot of people kind of bring up. I'm gonna try and look at this just artistically, right?
Artistically, I think is the only way you can look at it, because as far as connections to the Batman mythos, you've got the name the Joker, the mention of Arkham State Hospital, and one character who I believe is Thomas Wayne talking about how Gotham has lost its way. And I do believe that's actually young Bruce Wayne there that Arthur's trying to make smile. Beyond that, there's nothing here that's recognizable as Batman, as being that mythos, because you have to explain to me how this guy went from, you know, dancing there with his mom to the guy that I know leading chemical attacks and leaving people with permanent smiles as they die painfully. You know, holding cities hostage. Because for a realistic Joker, I'm sorry, we got him already, and that was Heath Ledger.
And I know we shouldn't really be comparing any Joker to Heath Ledger, quite frankly, because he did it so differently, especially at the time it was so different.
For the time, yes.
Really, I feel like when that was first announced, too, people were like, this guy's gonna be the Joker. Then we saw pictures of him, and we were like, that's not the Joker. Then we saw the movie, and we were like, oh, shut my mouth.
Exactly.
And I don't feel like we can do that again.
Yeah, because we already went through that cycle once.
And now, ever since then, every single Joker is a total and complete reimagining of the Joker. And this is why I said earlier in the show when we were talking about Gotham.
Yes.
When we were talking about Gotham's Joker. Well, now it feels like everybody's Joker has to be so different. And now I kind of am okay with the idea of maybe we'll eventually go back to a more traditional Joker. Because trying to do it different every single time, now it's getting really hit or miss.
Well, because the thing of it is, like, I respect, like, I've said this ever since I started watching Gotham and, you know, on top of everything and not just cursorily keeping up with it. Cameron Monaghan's portrayal of Jeremiah and Jerome, and now eventually Joker, is the best part of that show. Because from the jump, he had his concept of who the Joker was, or who this proto-Joker was, and he was leaning on little bits and pieces from the mythos, you know, at little points, seeming a little bit like Jack Nicholson, seeming a little bit like Mark Hamill, and he knew where to pull from.
Sure.
So that I respected, because he knew to respect what came before, but still make his own mark on the role, and he didn't have to stray so far from it, which is why I like it. Like, visually, yeah, it's kind of straying, but at the same time, the character is there, so I can respect that Joker. Here, he just seems like, I'm sorry, he just seems like some deranged white guy.
A little bit, yeah. He's a strange dude. Some might even lean into the idea that maybe he's a little bit autistic. My concern,
I don't know about that. I wouldn't go saying that.
Well, my concern is that if they play into, like he accepts the world in a different way than other people, people are going to be like, oh, then is he autistic? And then, like, oh, but he's not a good autistic guy, and I'm super concerned
that gets really problematic.
Yeah, I'm super concerned that it would be very problematic.
Because the thing about it is, one, you don't want to romanticize mental illness. It's a problem that people deal with every day, and it needs to be taken seriously.
Sure.
But what you don't want, unfortunately, we have to talk about that in the scope of who the Joker is in pop culture. The influence that people had, or the influence that Heath Ledger's Joker had on certain people after the last movie. Like, I've already seen several people on Twitter talk about, we don't need a new edgelord king out of this Joker, which it seems like that's where he's gonna go with it. Because, like, Joker is meant to represent the antithesis of Batman, so he's chaos. He's everything that you don't think should happen, and he just does it because he might get a laugh. You know, he's much more methodical and psychotic, and here, and he's, of course, highly intelligent. Here, I'm not really even seeing any of that, and I get that this is a teaser, so we haven't gotten the full scope of it yet, but just from what you're showing me, it seems like, one, you're relying a lot on the visuals that we've seen before from, like, The Dark Knight, from the color palette that we saw there. I do see right there where he's laughing at the comedy club, that sounds like he's already kind of got a Joker laugh, so maybe that was just him. Like, he didn't just completely go nuts. But the thing we were talking about before is the closest that we've ever gotten to an origin story for the Joker is, of course, the seminal work The Killing Joke.
Right.
Where the whole idea there that they kind of adapted in The Dark Knight is all it takes is one bad day.
I saw a lot of people quoting all it takes is one bad day, the day that this teaser dropped. Thank you very much, Gabu, I guess, over on YouTube for that subscription. Really appreciate it.
But the idea that they're showing us here is that Arthur Fleck didn't have a bad day. He just had a bad life.
He's a misunderstood guy, gets beat up occasionally. Why is he getting beat up? Is it
all the time?
Is it
by adults, by children?
Is it just because he's a goofy clown guy, or is it because there's always something wrong with him, and maybe everybody around him can see that this guy has a problem, and like, is that it? If he's actually a problematic guy, somebody needed to actually do something about him rather than just make fun of him and beat him up.
Right. And if they want to saying, oh, we created the Joker as a society, it's like, well, no, that's kind of missing the point of the Joker.
Yeah, and also saying that society needs to treat people better or else they won't become serial killers. That's a weird flex, too.
Yeah, that's a weird take.
It does look really artistic. I am interested in the movie, but I'm seeing shades of this is also really concerning for a society to consume in some ways.
Because
I don't know yet. It is just a teaser.
A lot of the influence that we're seeing here, even with the inclusion of Robert De Niro, is that there's shades of Taxi Driver in here,
sure.
Which is actually, when you look at it, a really good piece on vigilantism gone wrong. You know, Travis Bickle is not a hero. He's not supposed to be. He thinks he's the hero, but he's got some serious problems and needs therapy.
For sure.
And it seems like that's the case here. Like, Arthur's trying to get some therapy, and that didn't work out, and he decided to go ahead and kill people with clown makeup. Like, that's not the same thing.
Not quite, no.
And especially for the idea here that, again, we've got a Joker that, from what we've gotten from reports, is much older than Batman at this point. Like, how do you marry the two together?
How old is Joaquin Phoenix?
Oh, God, he's in his 40s.
I was going to say, this is a man who looks like he's in his 40s.
Yeah.
So this is the 70s.
This is the 80s.
This is the 80s?
It's the 80s.
This has to be the early 80s. It's gotta be. But we see him interacting with some kid in this trailer. That may or may not be Bruce Wayne. We know we see Thomas Wayne in this trailer. So yeah, if he's in his 40s and if Batman is still a child, he has to still be a child because Thomas Wayne's alive.
Right.
So, there's going to be at least a 30-year difference between the Joker and Batman. So by the time Batman becomes Batman, that happens like in his 20s somewhere.
If you're going with the early versions, like the earliest I think most people agree that he became Batman is 25, and that's pushing it.
Then Joker is gonna be like pushing his 60s,
late 50s, early 60s.
But by the time that Batman becomes Batman, right? Like,
and that's when he first becomes Batman.
Yeah.
Not leaving all this room for all the epic battles, all the killing of different Robins, like. That's all down the road.
Right.
And the thing about it is, when you're trying to tell the standalone story, does it really matter that it's tied to this? Like, you could do a Brightburn and be like, look, we just clearly based it off this character, and we wanted to tell our own story. But the fact that you got DC's stamp on here, like, no, you can say that's the Joker. Like, I don't know.
DC makes a lot of weird decisions. Like, you were doing so well, DC, with some of these last 3 hero films, and now we're doing this Joker thing. I don't know.
So
I have some concerns.
We'll keep an eye on it. I don't doubt that he will do an amazing job as Arthur Fleck, but to my credit and until I see this movie, I only see Arthur Fleck. You have to convince me this is the Joker we know. Or it's a Joker worth knowing.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah, so that's as much as we can say right here.
We're running a little long in the tooth for this episode, so we gotta go ahead and get a move on here. We can totally talk more about this Joker teaser in the post-show if you guys want, but for now, we gotta get a move on to our final story of the evening. That's gonna be Cowboy Bebop has had a cast announcement.
So we've got this graphic here taken off the internet where you can see most of the casting there for the main characters in the movie. which we'll go ahead and read off to you guys right now. John Cho, who we know from the Star Trek reboot movies, has been cast in the role of Spike Spiegel. Actor Mustafa Shakir, who people saw in season 2 of Luke Cage, he's being brought on as Jet Black. Daniela Pineda, who people saw in Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, she will be playing Faye Valentine. And British actor Alex Hassel will be playing Vicious. So that's most of the cast right there. The only person that we're missing is Ed. They have said Ed will be in the show. They just haven't cast them yet.
But who's playing Ein?
That's
playing
really
Ein?
important.
It's super important. We don't know who's playing Ein.
So, let's go ahead and get into it. So, there's been a lot of talk online about this casting. First and foremost, people saying, well, Spike Spiegel is supposed to be of German descent. Why'd you get an Asian guy?
To a point, I see where they're coming from, but also
to a counterpoint, shut up.
To a counterpoint, give other people a chance. White roles have existed for quite some time. I'm sure Spike, not being a white guy, is not gonna, he's still a human being, and humans can play humans.
Yes.
So, I don't think we even need to discuss it any further than that, quite frankly.
Because really, I want to see... John Cho is a great actor.
Sure.
You know, he's done drama, he's done comedy, but I haven't really seen him do lead man action stuff. You kind of got a feel for it.
Well, this is a good place to do it, I think.
This is a good place to do it. Now, we were talking about this earlier in the week about, is he the right age for Spike? Because some people were saying, well, maybe he should be a little bit younger. And I think he's maybe at the cusp of... how old you want him to be?
If it was any older than this, no.
Yeah.
But this is fair. I think this is fair, you know?
Yeah. Now, as far as Mustafa Shakir is concerned as Jet, most people seem to be okay with Jet being a black guy now.
Yeah, that's fine.
My thing is,
playing a dude.
Having watched him in Luke Cage Season 2, he was nothing short of a magnetic villain. Mm-hmm. And almost kind of like anti-villain, the way they portrayed his arc there on the show. And he's just so charismatic. I want to see what he does here. Because after watching him in Luke Cage, I was like, man, I want to see this guy do some other stuff. Mm-hmm. So really it's going to matter... Part of the core there is their chemistry between Jet and Spike. Because they've got this, we've been grizzled partners for a long time sort of thing between the two of us. You keep running off. I just have to make green peppers for dinner because we can't afford dinner. Mm-hmm. That sort of thing.
And reminder, green peppers, I believe, are the way that we as Americans see broccoli. So in Japan, I believe that they are like, pima, peppers, the way we go, broccoli, So there's this, understand that cultural reaction to them only being able to eat peppers.
Now, let's go ahead and talk about Faye here for a second. So, Danielle Pineda, we saw her there in Fallen Kingdom. She was probably one of the more entertaining characters from that movie. Seemed very capable, very self-sure. Going back and looking at clips of her from that movie, she can definitely do all of the comedic faces that Faye makes all the time. Mm-hmm. The fact that she's now Hispanic, I don't care.
Yeah.
That's fine. Let her be.
Yeah, we have a hugely... diverse Cowboy Bebop. You know what? Cool. So long as it still feels like Cowboy Bebop, who cares? I mean, you know what? People care, and they should care in a positive way, because it should be putting the focus on people who typically do not get the forefront in media like this.
Right.
It should matter in a positive way.
Now, she can handle the comedic moments that Faye can do. My thing is, can she play the femme fatale?
Sure.
Because that's her weapon. Faye loves using her looks and her sexuality to get over on people and to steal from them.
It works.
But can she do it?
Yeah.
Because I've never seen her do that, but I'm willing to give her the chance to show us.
I have to imagine she wouldn't have been cast if she couldn't.
I agree.
I'm hoping that that's what that means.
Now, the fact that they've cast Alex Hassel here as Vicious tells me, okay, straight up, you guys are going to be doing some Ballad of the Fallen Angels here. You're going to be doing...
you have to, because you don't see Vicious
otherwise.
Hardly at all otherwise, yeah.
And the thing of it is, if you can show us again what he looks like here, he's got the eyes for Vicious. Now, if I was just looking at him here, I'd say he's more of a Vincent from Cowboy Bebop the movie.
You think so? Yeah, and you know what? yes, I would kind of agree, but
Now, what I'm hoping here is they're not doing that blend thing where we say he's vicious, but he acts like Vincent.
I don't think we've got enough on our plate to suggest that that's what this is.
I'm just putting that out there now.
Just because you see it in his face doesn't mean I feel like that's not enough information.
I
to go
agree.
on.
I just want to cover my bases.
I know. I totally understand.
So this is set for 10 episodes, and we're moving forward. Now we've got a cast.
How many? Cowboy Bebop was
26.
It was a full 26 order.
Full 26 episodes.
Okay, so can they do what they need to do and just streamline it just a little bit? Can they do it? Some of the episodes you might have been able to consider like filler, but I felt like it was all they were all just interesting one-shot stories up until certain little arcs that carried over.
The thing of it is, like, Spike and his ties to the Red Dragons, that's all the overarching plot. You know, and then you've got the subplot about Faye coming out of hypersleep. You've got Jet's backstory about things he did when he was a cop that you can kind of call back to. My thing is this going to be just one and done, one series? Or are you going to, like, this is season 1 and you're going to tell another season after this?
How long are these episodes? Are they half hour or are they full hours?
That I can't
Because if they're full
see.
hours, then it's almost the same length as the original run of the anime. Only a hair bit shorter. You tell those same stories in an hour-long segments instead of half-hour-long segments, they could do it.
From what I'm seeing here, I don't see one way or the other
Nobody
that they're...
knows yet, right?
So we're going to have to wait on that. Now, there are benefits and detriments to the length on that. If you go the half-hour length, yeah, that's like the anime. If you go the more 45-minute length or 55-minute, considering that it's Netflix, you might blow more of your story like that.
Sure.
And I imagine if they do this right, they're not going to want to just sit on one season.
I would agree. Or they'll give it a movie also after they're done with a season.
Oh, like they did with Sense8.
Did they do that with Sensei?
Yeah, Netflix did that when
That
they
makes
ended
sense.
the series. They had a finishing movie.
Okay.
So the thing of it is, like, there's some other things that we have to worry about. Like, just having Vicious there is one thing, but we haven't heard about any casting of Julia yet. If they add Julia in, that's really endgame stuff.
I feel like
she'll
would
be there
not
for-
cast Vicious if Julia wasn't coming.
Yeah, because you need Julia for the flashbacks, at least. Now, you know, for those of you who've seen the show, you know Julia eventually shows up. But that's going to tell us more where they're going to go with it. Like, if they tease Julia, that means we're getting a second season. Beyond that, they could try and adapt Vincent into this world and tell it all as one linear story. Like, that could be the second season.
Right.
Is extend out the plot of Knocking on Heaven's Door into the overarching thing that they have to deal with. But they've got so many great episodes there to pull from to make episodes done live action. I'm trying to think, what are some of the episodes you really liked that you want to see them do?
What was the blaxploitation film kind of episode? Because they had one of those.
They did.
I don't recall the name of that
I
episode.
want to see. So bad now that I'm starting to get a picture for it. I want to see Mushroom Samba.
People are saying here they want to see Mushroom Samba.
The episode where everybody's tripping on mushrooms.
Yeah.
I want to see that. I want to see what is it? Toys in the Attic, I believe, is the one with the goo living in the fridge.
Yes,
That's terrorizing them. Like, I want to see the weird, funny episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. My concern is that because it's only 10 episodes, they're gonna cut those weird, funny episodes. I hope they don't do that because I feel like you miss a good hunk of just their normal personality.
Yes.
If you're only going straight for
Action.
all the action, all the drama, you know. It would be a real shame to skip that, to skip talking about where exactly Ed comes from, who
Yes.
exactly Ed is.
They have great opportunities with Ed for a gender fluid character to do this role and do it justice.
It would be amazing if we're already getting a diverse cast. We're starting to see a comeuppance of gender fluid or non-binary actors coming into Hollywood and television. I've seen it happen a few times over the last couple of years. Would be amazing if they would do it again here because that would just make sense. Because Ed just describes it is. They do confirm she's a she, but she just says Ed is Ed. Ed doesn't care what gender Ed is.
Yeah.
Ed doesn't care.
And for all of you sick people out there that want to sexualize Ed, one, how dare you? Just let them be.
Yeah.
Ed is a child.
Yeah. Yeah, don't do that,
Don't
guys.
do that.
Don't do that.
But I'm feeling really positive about this cast, and we could have gone the Dragon Ball Evolution route, and it's like another case of Justin Chatwin, like, you shouldn't have been Goku. You're great in other stuff, but this wasn't for you.
No, I think this will be significantly better. The question is now going to be, do they all work together well? Is it going to be edited together well? Can they tell a full and complete story that's going to be really satisfying?
like I love, like, we'll talk about this more in the post show. Boogie Woogie Feng Shui is kind of a weird episode, and I don't know that it'll fly nowadays. I definitely want to see them do Piero Lafau. That's going to be pimp if they do Piero Lafau. It was the one with the big, like, top hat guy. Like, he looks like he came from Nightmare Before Christmas, and he has all these guns, and nobody can beat him. But he's got, like, psychological problems. Like, it's such a good episode. So to round that all up, one, if you haven't seen Cowboy Bebop, get on it. It's everywhere.
Because when is this coming out again? They haven't confirmed, have they?
No, not yet. What we're looking at here...
Thank you very much, Graven Ash, for the follow. Appreciate it.
Is that we're still in pre-production here, so it's going to be a while before we get any confirmation on when these 10 episodes are going to come out.
Okay, well, that's good to know because it means that there's all that much more time to watch the TV series, the movie. There's some manga that's out there. It's not necessarily canon, I don't believe, but I remember way back in the day, Tokyo Pop published a couple of manga. Those should be read just to get a feel for what you're going to be getting into when this eventually comes out.
The soundtrack should be required listening for everybody with a soul.
This is the beginning of, just like we were having conversations about how did Evangelion really affect the anime industry. I think
same deal.
I think it's important to talk about in a historical sense, and I feel the same way about Cowboy Bebop. Like, even if you don't like Evangelion, and even if you don't like Cowboy Bebop, you should watch them to understand them historically speaking when it comes to anime.
And kind of the same thing we were saying about Akira. People,
and Akira too, for that matter. Yeah.
You respect Cowboy Bebop for what it did for the culture.
Yes.
Like I tell that story all the time of what it was like. Midnight the night it premiered, and I'd never seen anything like it before. So now other people will have the chance to get in on it and get in on the series.
Yes, by all means, please do.
All right, but that's going to be our show.
Yeah, we're way running late, and we want to talk about WrestleMania here in a little bit.
Yes.
And WrestleMania is coming up here in like 20 minutes.
Yes.
So we got to get a move on. Thank you so much for being with us on a Sunday instead. We have been all over the place. I know that. I understand that we have not been as regular on a Friday or a Saturday or a Sunday as we should have been. But thank you for being here. To those of you who are watching on YouTube, thank you also for watching it on YouTube. And I appreciate you doing it there, but it would be really cool if you could come down and check us out on our streams. If you're not following over here on twitch.tv/MarsGirl, please do, because then you can get the notifications for when we do go live, and you can hang out with all these fine people right over here, and you get the additional half hour, and we might cut it down to just 20 minutes today, just for extra Q&A time, because that's typically what you don't get to see. You don't get to have that live conversation with us back and forth, but it would be great to have that experience with you.
And of course, during the week, you can always talk to us on social media. Over on Twitter, I'm at Josh Knight First.
And I'm at MarsGirl.
And that having been said, that's been this special Sunday episode of Beyond the Black Rims. We will see you guys again next week.
Thank you, everybody.